If this is your first time here, my name is Roberto Alvarez. I'm the Executive Director of the GFCC. We're getting started with our February 2026 monthly call. Just waiting 1 minute for other colleagues to join, and we will get started. In the meantime, please feel free to use the chat to say hi, to connect with colleagues. From what I see, we have people from about 10 different countries at this moment in the call. We normally have colleagues coming and going at different points of the call. And I have a few announcements. One is this call is being recorded, so please be mindful of that. Two, we use the chat to share resources, links, and things with you. So please keep an eye on that. And finally, the materials that we will share during the call, including the presentation, the slide deck, and the footage of the presentation, will be available later on the GFCC community, our closed social network. And if you could maybe share the link to the community here, Renata, that would be great. I see colleagues from many parts of the world. I'll share my screen very quickly, and then I'll turn to you, Deborah. Yes. Okay. I said this is our February monthly call. And again, if this is your first time here, the way we structure the calls is that we start by sharing updates from the GFCC, from our community, and then we transition to a presentation. And we are privileged today to have the former Minister of Agriculture, former Minister of Industry of the Czech Republic, Dr. Jan Mládek, here today with us. We will turn to Jan and introduce him properly in a few minutes. But just to get us started, I want to turn to you, Deborah. We have some exciting things going on in the GFCC. So we have new colleagues joining us from some of our new members too. We will introduce them, but I want to turn over to you, Deborah.
Thank you. Well, for those of you who are in the United States in the eastern part, we're finally coming out of our big snowstorm and cold weather. And I think that's true in Europe and other places as well. So we're happy to all be together on the call today. And I want to echo Roberto's welcome to Minister Mládek. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to your presentation. We had a fantastic, as you know, GFCC annual meeting and Global Innovation Summit in October in Pittsburgh. Bill Haldeman, I see you there. Thank you again for you and Chancellor Joan Gable, our GFCC member. And Joan, of course, is the vice chair of the U.S. Council for hosting that on the convergence of AI and advanced manufacturing and health. It was really spectacular. And we announced at that time our 2026 annual meeting and Global Innovation Summit will be in Sofia, Bulgaria. We don't have the dates yet. We're still working on that with our colleagues in Bulgaria. We're working a little bit around the schedule of the president of the IMF, who is from Bulgaria, who we hope will be with us. But we'll get that information to everyone soon. But it will be in the fall. But I want to, first of all, announce and welcome some of our new members who were with us that we're really thrilled and honored to have joined the GFCC. I see on the call President Jeff Gold, the president of the University of Nebraska System. Jeff, welcome to the GFCC. We're thrilled to have you as a new member, and we'll all be joining you soon out in April for one of the U.S. Council's National Competitiveness Conversation on the future of the bioeconomy, and thank you for that. I also want to welcome the University of Arizona, University of Vermont, the Academy of Arts University, Notre Dame, and Gallup as a new corporate member to the GFCC. And we have a lot of great discussions with colleagues around the world who we hope will be joining to expand our geographical footprint, as well as the diversity and leadership of our members. We have one of our flagship GFCC study tours well underway. I think maybe at some point both Chad Evans and Roberto could touch base on that, but we'll be at the end of July for, again, a combined GFCC event with the U.S. Council, a study tour to San Diego hosted by our member Pradeep Khosla at UC San Diego. Our annual report is about to come out, as well as the report on the October meeting. And I want to thank Roberto and Eleni and others for the hard work they've done on our fellows, really putting more structure and some discipline in our relationship with all of you, many of the fellows that are on this call, your contributions, your commitment to the GFCC. And I want to also thank Deborah Gordon as a fellow for making a philanthropic contribution to the GFCC last year. Thank you. We hope others will do that as well. So with that, let me turn it back to you, Roberto, and thank everyone for joining today.
Yeah, I was muted. Thank you, Deborah. Just to build on some of the things that Deborah mentioned, we have new members joining the GFCC. What is quite exciting. We'll talk about that. I want to turn to some of our new members who are on the call just to introduce their universities, their organizations. We'll take a few minutes to talk about the San Diego study trip, which again, I think this is a tremendous opportunity. We're bundling one of the Council on Competitiveness conversations across America with a GFCC activity. We have a few updates and an invitation again for everybody to be part of the survey on humans and AI that we have in place. We have released some new reports I want to share with everybody. That said, we had three, I think Deborah mentioned also the University of Vermont, University of Arizona. We announced they were joining when we were in January, but we are extremely excited to have the University of Nebraska, the University of Notre Dame, and the Academy of Art University joining the GFCC. And maybe Professor Gold, if I could turn to you just for a few minutes. It's great to have you, but we would like maybe if you could share a bit about the University of Nebraska system. It's truly a privilege to have you here with us, sir.
Well, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Well, first, I'm joined by my friend and colleague, Chris Cradaville, this morning as we have a day together in the legislature. And I apologize in advance that I can't stay for the duration of your call. So I am very pleased to represent the University of Nebraska, the public land-grant R1 University of the state of Nebraska, founded in 1869. We serve a student body of approximately 50,000 students, do about $800 million of peer-reviewed research. And yes, we do play football and basketball and several other sports as well. We've been involved and engaged and very pleased and honored with the U.S. Council activities. And as Deborah said, are hosting an important meeting in the end of April on the future of the bioeconomy here. Nebraska is an extremely important state in the U.S. as it relates to the ag sector, one of the largest producers of corn and soybeans. There are far more head of cattle than there are people that live in Nebraska. However, this is a state that is very forward-looking in terms of economic development, and the university, as it is the only public university system in the state, is critically important in terms of that economic development. Indeed, the single statistic you might want to remember: the University of Nebraska represents about 9% of the entire gross domestic product of the state of Nebraska and is growing faster than almost any other sector of the economy. And that has to do with tech transfer, commercialization, and growth across many, many different sectors. So just very honored to be with you. And again, apologize that the Speaker of the Legislature has got me on his calendar in not so many minutes. And so if I duck off, it's not out of disrespect, but it's just that when the Speaker calls, I've learned when the budget's on the line, it's a good thing to respond.
Thank you, Dr. Golden. I just want to add that in addition to your leadership of the system, you previously were the head of the whole medical school system and are a very distinguished doctor as well. So thank you for your leadership across so many fronts. And again,
25 years. I'm a recovering pediatric heart surgeon, worked on the East Coast for many, many years in the Harvard system and the Cornell system, etc. So yeah, I bring a broad perspective of what it means to take care of other people the right way.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Gold. Jill, maybe I could turn to you. We would love to hear, and again, we are privileged now to have the University of Notre Dame with us, but thanks for being here.
Wonderful. Well, glad to be here. Jill Penamani, Executive Director of Research Advancement at Notre Dame. And as Dr. Gold mentioned, we also do play football at Notre Dame. I'm not sure you've heard that too, right? No playoffs for us this year, but that's okay. But yeah, established in 1842, we're a student body of about 12 to 13,000 students, 8,000 undergrad, about 4,000 graduate. Burgeoning research. We're really excited with where in the last 15 years Notre Dame has gone with research. And just sort of a moment for this group about sort of our globalization and the efforts we've put there. We take a bit of a different approach than many peer universities when it comes to global engagement. Rather than establishing a lot of formal global campuses, we really focus on deep and place-based engagement. We want to integrate education, research, and partnership directly in those local contexts. So today, student and faculty for us are conducting research across numerous sites worldwide. We've got strong physical presences in Rome, London, and no surprise, 2 locations in Ireland. We're actively expanding our personnel and infrastructure, especially in Latin America, particularly Mexico, Chile, and Brazil, and in East Africa, especially in Kenya. Notably, one of our largest fiscal partnerships is with South Korea, where we've long been a trusted partner to some major industries there. So really, we think this model allows us to combine global reach with local depth. It closely aligns with your all's emphasis on trusted networks, collaboration, and competitiveness-driven growth. And we're just thrilled to be part of the group and hope we can contribute to some great conversation.
Thank you, Jill. And we also thank Jeff Rhodes, your colleague, who's such a strong leader in the U.S. Council. And for those of you who didn't see it, with our tremendous cold and snow and ice, it was all over the news. Notre Dame students just took the initiative and went out, and I was stunned when I saw it. Build a whole chapel out of ice.
That's right. And said mass there, about 2,000 students came to mass at the Ice Chapel. They, I thought, very cleverly named it St. Olaf. So pretty clever on the students' part, for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jill. And being Brazilian and joining this call from the southern part of the world, it was great to hear that you are expanding your global presence in Latin America too. I am not sure. I cannot see everybody here on the call, those just small boxes here. I can see just a few of you, but so I'm not sure if we have a colleague from the Academy of Art University. So please, if you're here, just let me know, right? So let me proceed here with some updates from the GFCC too. I think as Deborah said, we are getting ready for another one of our study trips to university-anchored innovation ecosystems around the world. We've been to Birmingham, UK, we've been to Lisbon, Portugal, where the mayor of Lisbon hosted us and a series of leaders in that capital city of Europe. For sure, our university member, the Catholic University of Portugal, was the main partner for this, but we went to every relevant place in terms of the innovation ecosystem in Lisbon, in Portugal, from the Unicorn Factory to the Champollion Foundation, which has a strong focus on health. And now in partnership with the Council on Competitiveness, we're going to San Diego in July. So from the 20th to the 21st, we'll have a competitiveness conversation hosted by the Council on Competitiveness and University of California, San Diego. We will follow that on the 22nd and the 23rd with a GFCC study trip. So we're bundling the two events. And maybe, Chad, I could turn to you. You've been working, Mike and other colleagues, with our colleagues in San Diego, Paul Robin and others. So if you could share maybe a few highlights. And we have here a few links that Renata will also share on the chat, because we have registrations open. We already have information about logistics and hotels. So please check those out. But Chad, I want to turn to you.
Thanks, Roberto. Well, the U.S. Council we're actually on the cusp of a really busy spring. At the end of March, March 23rd and 24th, we'll be in Maryland for our first 2026 edition of the Competitiveness Conversations. The focus there with the president of University of Maryland and the president of Morgan State will be the future of quantum AI and the greater, we call it the DMV, the DC, Maryland, Virginia region. We'll follow that, as President Gold mentioned, at the end of April, April 29 and 30th in Omaha on the future of the bioeconomy. I would encourage folks, if you're in the United States or want to make the effort, given the importance of that particular sector and its in critical adjacencies, to try to think about joining us in Omaha. It'll be an incredible experience. And for those of you who might be Berkshire Hathaway shareholders, it's the same week as the Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting, which would follow our competitiveness conversation. So you can make a great week in Nebraska, and I would encourage it. But as Roberto said, we'll be following that up with our third, and at the moment, our final edition of the 2026 Competitiveness Conversations in San Diego. The core day for that competitiveness conversation with several hundred leaders from across the region, Southern California, but beyond, will be really July 21st. There will be a reception likely on the evening of the 20th, but I really think core day 21st. And the topic will be really the San Diego stack for innovation. So everything from semiconductors, telecommunications, advanced materials, to bio, to agile space and security and national defense, and of course, transformative computing. So that agenda is building up nicely. We'll have an incredible array of panels, keynotes, technology talks, as we do for all of our conversations. So if you can also be with us in California, you could stay for an extra 2 days, and there will be a down select, a special 2-day curated visit across the San Diego innovation ecosystem on the 22nd and the 23rd. You'll spend a day at the 22nd at the Design and Innovation Building on the UCSD campus. That's not the image there. The image you'll see on the screen there is the Geisel Library on the UC San Diego campus, the iconic Brutalist Library. But you'll have a great day on the 22nd exploring that campus with a myriad of labs and visits. And then on the 23rd, a broader visit across San Diego to key companies, research laboratories, all reflective of the general theme of that San Diego innovation stack that we'll explore on the 21st.
Chad, you might also mention our GFCC annual partnership with Delphi Economic Forum, and also our leadership panel.
Absolutely. As folks know on this call, the U.S. Council has been and the GFCC has been a long-standing partner with the Delphi Economic Forum. And its annual meeting this year will take place at the end of April. And the Council and GFCC team will be hosting, led by Deborah, a leadership panel, most likely on April 24th. We're still confirming the dates with our DEF colleagues. But Deborah will lead a conversation on the future of competitiveness, security, along with several GFCC members, including Christos Mangalou, the CEO of Piraeus Bank, Simos Anastopoulos, the CEO of Compete Greece, as well as a new member of the GFCC, the president of the American University of Beirut, Professor Khoury. So a great panel conversation led by Deborah, and we're looking at April 24th. And if folks are still interested in joining folks, the Delphi Economic Forum website is up and registration is available.
And two comments here. I think for GFCC members from across the world, one of the things that Chad has been highlighting, and I think you have recently shared information about that on the GFCC community, our online platform, Chad, it's about the participation in this series of conversations across America that the council has been deployed, an invitation for GFCC members from across the world to do that. That's a big upside for your global membership. And the other thing is what we will do in San Diego is something that we will continue. Our work will focus on placemaking innovation, especially under the framework of our Universal Research Leadership Forum, is very much focused on that. So we have people from the Czech Republic, from the UK, from Brazil, from Greece, from Ukraine, from Romania, from Malaysia here on the call today. So just a reminder to everybody that we want to take this to other parts of the world, and there's an opportunity to host one of those study trips. Have that in mind, and please get in contact if you are interested in doing that. We launched not long ago a survey on humans and AI. This really comes out of our annual meeting in Pittsburgh that Deborah has mentioned. We formed a task force focused on augmenting human capacities in the age of AI. We are polling and ideas. We are capturing insights, but also suggestions on what this community, the GFCC, could do. So please answer the survey and share that in your networks. And Renata, please share again here the link on the chat for colleagues who didn't have a chance to do that again. We launched, as Deborah mentioned at the beginning of the call, we just launched our 2025 annual report. It's available on the GFCC website. It came live a few days ago, so we invite everybody to check that out, to share that resource with your different networks. This is an important piece that features what we do in the GFCC as a community. So again, we invite everybody to share that. Also, and Bill, thank you so much for your work and your team's work. We released this week all the video footage from Forging the Future, our Global Innovation Summit in partnership with the Council on Competitiveness, hosted by the University of Pittsburgh and Carnegie Mellon University. You can check that. All sessions are available online on the GFCC YouTube channel. It's a major resource. And I think, Deborah, as we talked the other day, we had amazing content at the conference. So we invite everybody to check that out. And for those who had the chance to join us in Pittsburgh, you can see yourselves speaking and check if you like your own remarks. And we also have some new thought pieces coming out of the GFCC blog. And here stays the invitation for everybody who has something that wanted to share with our community. Your perspectives from across the world are very important. I think we want to make it sure that your voices are heard within our community and beyond. And I leave the invitation for all of those who want to share something too. We have a few minutes for updates from our community before we turn to the presentation. I see a few here who I haven't seen in a while. And let's see, maybe who do we have here? Peter, let's start with you. And please be quick. We have just a few minutes.
I think Chris had his hand up first. It's nice to see people. I've not been to a few meetings. I'm busily pursuing a new display technology some of you have heard about, but I'm really interested in the AI augmentation. We're working with at least a couple of the hyperscalers, so I've got some quite good insights, so happy to engage on that one.
Great, Peter. I'll drop you a note. And Chris, very quick, please. Over to you, Chris.
Super quick, Roberto. Just 2 points. One is for the conference in Bulgaria. I think that there's at least one commissioner from the European Commission who may be interested in joining, and maybe the European Investment Bank and the ESM, the European Stability Mechanism, could also be invited. I think this would certainly get them introduced to the GFCC, which I'd be very keen to do. So it's just that I would like to coordinate with you before sort of contacting people, of course. So let's be in touch on that. And the other thing is, just to tell you, as something that came out of the University of Pittsburgh conference, actually, I've written a paper with Peter Yanoris, who's one of the presenters at the conference. He works on AI aging biomarkers, and we've on how to use it in health aging policy. So maybe I'll make that available on the GFCC.
Please share that on the GFCC community, or send that to us. We can share that. Let me see who. Athena, can you hear us, Athena? Nope. Denise, yes, please.
Hello, everyone.
Please.
Yes.
Any updates that you'd like to share from Greece or anywhere else in the world, Athena?
I think the updates are pretty much European, and to the extent of entrepreneurship, I'm currently working on this financial engineering that has been shared with Lisbon University. And actually, I think it's the right panel to further elaborate that in a future call. So gladly, Roberto, if you want me to send you some the framework, so as the R&D teams of the hosted universities and their leadership team may see an option to further not only support the R&D and the startups that arise from their precious R&D teams, but also to create leverage into the funds that they already have. So let's be in touch and mature a little bit the idea, so as to further see the option to present it to the leadership of GFCC, and also to the universities that participate in this unbelievable team. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Athena. Zaimidzi, can you hear us? Not sure if it's great to have you here. Any updates from Malaysia that you would like to share with our community here, Zaimidzi?
I think nothing in particular, Roberto, but I think the challenges in the political climate in Malaysia is still very dynamic. I think there's a lot of conversation about the federation and things like that. So I think, but nothing much from the university. Yeah.
Okay. We would love to hear more about the changes in the political, let's say, environment, and during one of our upcoming calls. Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Maybe I think the time is right for us to turn to our presentation. And as we talked at the beginning of the call, we are truly privileged to have here today Dr. Jan Mládek. He will present about the state of the European competitiveness and social prospects in a shifting global landscape. Jan is a prolific researcher, writer, and public servant. He has extensively studied the transformation and privatization of the post-communist countries. He published many scientific papers on that. He was twice a deputy minister in the Czech Republic, and he was twice minister of agriculture first, and then minister of industry and trade when we met in Moscow, actually, Jan. So it's great to have you here. Jan was a member of the parliament twice, from 2002 to 2005, and then from 2013 to 2017. Today, he's a globally known thought leader on economic transformation. He has been teaching, advising companies and governments, and it's great to have you here with us, Jan. The floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. I hope I may share my presentation. Is it okay?
Yes, please.
This way? Okay. Well, I'm supposed to speak about state of European competitiveness and social prospects.
Jan, sorry. If you could put it in presentation mode. Yeah.
Oh, well,
just put a PowerPoint. Yeah.
Sharing. You cannot see it?
We see, but if you could put the PowerPoint in presentation mode. Presentation mode.
Okay. It's okay now?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. As you have introduced me, I have been studying econometrics, so I always like to have some hard figures. So I will not speak only generally about competitiveness of Europe, but also I will give you some numbers, because it's important to get feeling how it is in reality. First of all, let's start with macro figures, with the GDP. EU is basically in the period of very slow growth, and there is forecast this slow growth will continue up to 2030, but it's mainly because there will be some fiscal stimulus and there will be bigger spendings on defense. Not because of internal reasons, endogenic reasons for growth. So basically, Europe is stagnating. The situation. This is the forecast. Those are not yet final figures. How will be growth in 2025? And the biggest problem is that the biggest countries are not growing. Germany growth is expected 0.0 actually. France 0.6. Austria is supposed to be in decline, minus 0.3. So the perspectives are not quite good. This is nothing new. Everybody knows that Europe is in trouble, and not surprisingly, there was prepared Draghi's report in September 2024. Mr. Draghi, former governor of European Central Bank, prepared with the team, analyzes what is supposed to be done for European competitiveness. And he came to the conclusion that there are three key pillars for action. But basically, the problem of Europe is lagging in Industry 4.0 or fourth industrial revolution, AI, digital technology, semiconductors, and so forth and so forth. Other thing is decarbonization. He came with the idea that green policy should be connected with industrial policy, because the problem of Europe is that there was reached quite a big progress in decarbonization, but the technologies are basically delivered from China. So the main beneficiary for Green Deal are Chinese, because they are supplying photovoltaic panels, turbines, and so forth and so forth. That the idea of Mr. Draghi is that Europe should do more in this direction than to develop high tech for this Green Deal. And another pillar is increasing security and reducing dependencies. Increasing security in all meaning of this word, because we have big war on European continent. It's in a direct meaning, but also in more indirect meaning about migration and also dependence on external supply, because we have discovered that being dependent too much on Russian crude oil, Russian gas, and also on raw materials from other countries may be difficult. Major recommendations were going in this four direction. It means investment needs. The idea is to have extra spendings up to 800 billion euro annually, in 5% of EU GDP, and to have something like Marshall Plan after Second World War. I must say, so far there is very small commitment for such a move. Another thing is joint debt to fund those massive projects. Reports suggest new common EU debt. Very little enthusiasm because many countries are afraid of the skeletons in closets of other countries, and so being afraid to have bigger common debt. A regulatory reform, it's hopeless because EU is based on the regulation. It's very nicely seen on AI. Europe is the best on AI regulation, but not is the best on development and usage of the AI. And here I must say I have mixed feelings in this concrete story, because I feel that there is needed a regulation for AI, for the risk of AI misuse, but if only EU will do it and the others not, so we will be the losers. And Mr. Draghi also recommended capital market union. So it means one capital market for the whole Europe to have better access to capital for new companies. Okay, here we are, year and something after Draghi's report was written. It was in September 2024, and there was an evaluation a year later, and it was discovered that only 11% out of 383 recommendations have been fully implemented, mainly in transport and raw materials, but not in energy and digitalization. So that is a major challenge for Europe. That the problem is described, problem is known, and there is not quite a big commitment to go forward, in particular not in the framework of EU, and I will tell later why. Now I would like to speak about one concrete industry, which is nicely showing how deep are European problems, and maybe you will be surprised by some figures. First, let me allow to summarize. The car industry globally started in Europe. It was Karl Benz who in 1886 produced, he was the first one who produced several identical copies of the cars, and he started mass production of the cars, and Europe was developing car industry for more than 100 years based on combustion engines. But Europe fighting climate decided that the combustion engine production will be forbidden in EU starting 2035. Now it is this goal is a bit now questioned, but still valid. So we are supposed to finish combustion engines production in 2035. Of course, saying that, it was supposed that Europe will move to the other types of the cars. It means electric cars and self-driving cars, because those are major challenges in car industry. Unfortunately, this direction was taken over by Chinese, because Chinese realized very simply that they are not able to compete in combustion engines cars, and they have decided to bet on electric cars and on self-driving cars. And unfortunately, Chinese were not reading Western economic textbooks, and they were doing everything differently, trying to make sure that they are controlling the whole vertical of production of cars, starting from the batteries and everything what is needed for the batteries. And at this moment, they are controlling the vertical of car production. And to produce electric cars for Europeans is difficult because they are dependent on Chinese-produced batteries. This is the outcome of those policies. Once again, we can see it on the hard figures. It's 2024. The biggest producers of cars globally is China, and pushing out European countries. Well, we are looking on European countries. The biggest producer with declining production is still Germany. Second in Europe is Spain, and then you may be surprised. The third is Czech Republic. You may ask the question how it is possible, and in particular asking the questions where is France and where is Italy? That's something I have seen recently on presentation of one German professor, who has shown that car production is dramatically falling comparing the year 2010 in Germany, France, and Italy, and it's not the case of the Czech Republic. This picture is not quite clear, so I have prepared my own table trying to show this dramatic change which is happening, what happened in Europe in last 15 years. Here I should have remarked that I am not sure about how exact are the figures for Italy and France, because those countries do have problems to publish in February the figures of car production of 2025. So it's not exact. It seems that they have problem to publish the figures to tell open public how bad situation is. Because if you see it, German car production declined by quarter. Italy was declining 66%, France 59%, Czech Republic was growing nearly 35%. Can we celebrate, and are we happy of it? I would say we are moderately happy in Czech Republic that car production is still growing, but we are a bit afraid that we are in the position of this gentleman who was falling from an Empire State Building, and on the level of second floor he was hurt. So far so good. So far so good, because it's not clear whether it can continue that in the whole Europe the car production is dramatically falling, and only Czech Republic is growing. It's necessary to say that this decline of car production is so far mainly because those car makers are losing export markets. Now is coming the next stage. The Chinese car makers are penetrating European market itself. So there is a real risk that this decline of car production will continue. You can imagine that from those figures of big decline, it will have a dramatic and social consequences, because it means unemployment, it means decline of economic growth, and it will probably not help the challenges Europe is facing in the future. Now, once again, I would like to turn your attention to another macro figure. This is the general government debt. Okay, and we can see it is well known that Greece and Italy are highly indebted, and it was discussed during the crisis 2008. So that is no surprise, and we are somehow living with this. What is less known, that unfortunately public debt is growing dramatically in France, and France is now in nominal term single biggest debtor in Europe, because France has bigger economy than Italy, so these are the most indebted country absolutely in euros, and also percentage to GDP is high. You may object that, okay, and so what? The United States do have 124 public debt if the figure is comparable. Yeah, it's not so easy in Europe, because we have Eurozone. 21 countries out of 27 are part of the Eurozone, and part of the Eurozone is agreement that the public debt will not be higher than 60% of the GDP. Why is that? Because the idea was that the countries with high debt would be free riders on account on those who would be fiscally responsible. So the idea was to keep it under 60%. Now you can see that some countries, even as big as France, are highly above it. So it will be much more difficult to keep fiscal discipline in Europe, in Eurozone in particular. Okay, and still we may ask, and so what? The problem with the EU is on the crossroad. The enemy of EU is Mr. Putin. He was blunt and clear about it for a long time. He believes that only because of Europe the war in Ukraine is continuing. But Mr. Trump is only slightly better. He is labeling EU as a foe, which is not exactly friend or something like this, and even coming with the ideas that EU was created only to cheat United States. Well, in such environment, the life is not easy. Even if Europe is facing the problems I have mentioned above. So there are three possible outcomes of the current situation. United States of Europe, it means the creation of European Federation. I must say there is a very small political commitment and braveness to go in this direction. In many countries, it is even difficult to raise the idea of European Federation. Other Another possibility is disintegration, which may be quite difficult because of Europe. Because well, some people are saying, okay, so if you are not able to unify politically, so go back simply to custom union, which is working well, even on the territory bigger than EU. But I'm afraid it's not so easy, because once you have common currency, you must keep it, or there will be undergoing dramatic disintegration of the common currency. Or there is a third, the most probable scenario, stagnation or decline or long rotting. And I have discovered in last minute before this speech, Mr. Draghi said himself on a year anniversary of his report, the slow agony is the most probable scenario for the future. But I would add that slow agony is possible under one situation, that the external condition, both economic and political, around Europe will be relatively good. What is definitely not granted at this moment. So I'm sorry for this rather not optimistic conclusion. So I have at the end at least the positive picture of the bear with flowers. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jan. And thanks for the picture. We have time for a few questions. So Deborah would like to make any comments, any questions, initial reactions to Jan's presentation.
Thank you, Jan. It was very sobering and, ending on a upsetting note, of course, but thank you for such data-rich presentation. I mean, the data is the data. And question, you've been a former minister and leader. What do you think from a trade perspective the EU should do about the auto industry? Restraints, what can they do to stop the decline of the auto industry? Should they put restraints on imports of Chinese electric vehicles? I mean, China, as we know, never allowed any foreign products into their market until they had produced them and then could go out and dominate. I mean, a very serious book is coming out in March by a business leader, Ram Charan. I mean, China's poised pretty soon to control 90% of global production chains. I mean, it's very, very serious. What should be done?
Well, this is already happening. There are attempts to create tariffs on non-tariff barriers on import of Chinese cars, but it should not be the main solution. The main solution should be positive, in particular, move forward in self-driving cars. Here it is directly connected with this AI and new technologies, because I'm really afraid that what I have shown, it's only beginning, because there is big progress with self-driving cars in US, in China, and basically technology is here. The problem, if I say it a bit brutally, is to try it on real people. You must allow self-driving car in the cities and allow them driving with the idea that there will be victims, maybe quite a number of victims, but without that you cannot go forward. And apparently the Chinese are ready to do that. In America, with a bit more hesitations, let's say, is doing the same, and Europe is lagging dramatically. Plus, we should solve somehow this problem with those rare earths and lithium and so forth, which was neglected. And here we are Here we are back to those Green Deal and green policies. The problem in Europe is manufacturing of those rare earths, because in Europe you are basically not able to build chemical factory or any big mining where there is a threat for environment, because the obsession with environment is so big that is blocking basically economic development. And so it's no accident that we are so much dependent on those imports of those raw metals, because in one moment we were happy that we can import it from outside because the waste is left over there. But now when we have discovered that mercantilism is not definitely that direction of thinking, we should rethink all of those things, but there must be real changes in European policies, and it's difficult. And probably we should stop this combustion engine at 2035. It should be postponed. There are some discussions about it, but the damage was done already, because if you decide that you will not produce the combustion engines after 2035, the companies are stopping developing of new combustion engines. Why to do that if you will not sell them? And last but not least, we must solve the energy problem, because energy prices are horrific and energy intensive industries are moving to US and elsewhere. And it's not only because of the war in Ukraine, it's gas. It's basically because of Green Deal, because high prices of electricity are for high tariffs on fossil fuel production of electricity from brown coal, for example, which used to be main source in my country. So that the high prices of electricity are a pain which was homemade in Europe.
Peter, you have a question.
Yeah, it was salutary and concerning. Thank you, Jan. And it's deeply concerning what you were sharing. I have the unfortunate thing of not being in a country that's in the EU. I wish we were, despite your grim news. But one of the things that I wondered about with car manufacture and actually manufacturing more generally is robotics. I was at the CES show in Las Vegas, and I was astonished at the number of Chinese companies with robots, with humanoid robots, dog-like robots. And I looked at it and I thought, wow, it's game over for military, it's game over for people in lots of these environments. And I was talking to, he's the mentor for, works in the semiconductor industry. He'd visited the new TSMC plant, which I think is in Arizona. And he said, the number of people there is tiny. I mean, it is essentially robotic driven. And the real success of Chinese car manufacturing hasn't been the rare earths or the regulation. It's simply that they've replaced the workers with robots, and they are so far ahead on that one. So I don't know, what are your thoughts on robotics and the position of Europe in that space?
Well, as concern of the robotics, it's not so much so far perceived as a problem, because number of robots is relatively high in Germany and also in the Czech Republic. But maybe this figure may have some problems, because you are putting together the most advanced robots with those industrial robots which you are using for tens of years. So it would need more bigger elaboration how it is with the robots. But generally, I do agree. This is the direction where it is going to. I have recently visited Amazon center in Czech Republic. They have actually two of them, and it's a very telling story. The 10 years old one has some 5,000 employees, and the new one, which is more robotized, has only 500. That's the trend.
Yeah. What is the opportunity that you see? What's the business area? What is the technology? What is the one opportunity that you see for Europe to change the game? If you had the power and you were solely in charge of the economy in Europe, what would be your bet?
Well, I must admit I was always thinking in the framework of Czech Republic, and that it was easier. And the idea was relatively simple, because for small country is clear to find I don't know 3-5 subsectors in which you are supposed to be the best, and for the rest to get multinationals in FDIs. We have been working hard. For Europe as a whole, basically what Mr. Draghi was writing, because it's a team outcome, but the real problem is not what to do, how to do that, and how to adjust it to European political and social environment. There is very interesting book of Mr. Minchau, who is a prominent journalist of Financial Times, and he wrote the book called Kaput. It's why German economy is not working, and here his main answer is that Germany doesn't have this culture of startups, of venture capital, like in America, because this allowed dramatic shift in the structure of American economy. And the first 10 of number companies are companies which were non-existent 30 years ago or were marginal companies. While in Germany, there is this permanent continuation of these companies which were created in the last third of 19th century, like Siemens, Bosch, Audi, Mercedes-Benz, and so forth, and that there is missing this culture of changing structure of economy. But I am not sure how to do that, because it's completely different to the mindset of our German friends. And I'm speaking about Germany because Germany is the most important country in the EU. And if they will make it, we will make it. If they don't, we have problem. Situation in France is actually worse. That was seen also on this indicative figure on car production, where the fall of car production is quicker than in Germany.
But do you see one area, one sector, or one technology where you see a future being open for Europe?
Future being open.
And you can think about that, because we're reaching the end of our call, and then Chris, we will save your question. Maybe you can share that on the community. So I thought about maybe Deborah, see if you have any final comments, and then Jan, you can close, and if you can address that or a different thing. But Deborah, is there anything else that you'd like to bring to the conversation as we're finishing the call?
Well, I would just add to the last discussion that one area where there's still very strong European-wide leadership is in the future of the bioeconomy. And a lot of firms that are really, really strong in that area, Novonesis, many others. And actually some of the regulatory incentives for that are helping that sector, and it's going to be multi-trillion. So I don't think it's all gloom, but I do think the governance structure of the EU is such that it makes it impossible for them to come together and really do some big things on big scale. And so that second scenario where you highlight some of the disintegration or countries doing things, smaller groups together, I think we're going to see more of that actually. And also, Athena and I were in Portugal in early January and heard a very interesting off-the-record discussion from our colleague on our group there, former commission, head of the commission, Barroso, who was saying that Germany is really poised to have a massive increase in its defense capability that's underway. Those are all good things, probably, although some people are concerned about Germany. But on the other hand, all of these capabilities are, I guess it's not fashionable to say dual use anymore, but multi-purpose. So, having a defense capability that also spurs in industrial competitiveness and manufacturing is going to be very, very important. And I think that's something, there is a commitment in Europe on that. And let's hope so. But I do think some of the talk about, well, Europe's going to run over and do more with China, I don't think that's going to be the solution to European competitiveness. I think that's going to be a further stake in the ground. So anyway, final few comments there, but it's a very great presentation. Thank you. And we're going to do important work in the GFCC as much as we can to move forward on these fronts, particularly on the role of our universities and our companies in the innovation ecosystems of the future. So thank you, and we'll look forward to moving forward on all these fronts. And I see, Jerry, you have a comment about Greg IP's article. Do you want to just mention that quickly?
I haven't got it.
Okay. Yeah, there's a good article in the Wall Street Journal today that just points out how much capital and shareholders are capturing all the value of automation, how labor basically is being dropped out of the equation. It's a beginning. I have a view, we can discuss it later, that ultimately you've got to get money to labor or money to the consumers, because without consumers,
You don't have.
you don't want your production, it doesn't go anywhere. You don't have anything to sell, as China already knows. So I think there's a long-term trend here that we're going to figure out how to get money to everybody so we keep a consumer economy going. But in the short run, it's capital and technology that are capturing all the wealth. John, a great presentation. I nominate you for Economic Leader of Europe, and I hope you get the role.
Thank you.
Any final words, Jan?
Maybe only one final word. Deborah mentioned defense. I would pick up from defense research. That would be my dream, because this is the one success of US and Israel, that you are spending a lot of money on military research, and then you are dispersing the outcome into civilian sector. That would be good invested money.
Jan, thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you for the attention. It was a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you all for being here. Our colleague Hippolyte Fofak is in Africa as we were doing this. He's taking part in the African Union meeting, so we should have a report about that next month or in the following month, but we will continue this conversation in March. Thank you all so much for being part. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.